Growing up in a traditional Chinese household can make one feel anxious about the future. When a child does something that is out of line with tradition, parents in those families are usually quick to tell a child they may be doomed or worse, jinxed for life. Chinese kids are often frightened into following traditions by parents who don't hesitate to tell them that if they don't respect certain rules and customs, they will anger various gods. There are many gods or deities that the Chinese worship. There are gods for business, career, academia, health, the oceans, the earth, and just about every element in life. There's even a god dedicated to protecting a family's kitchen. Each god has their own level of influence when it comes to maintaining the universal balance. This means that if we do something wrong, we could tip their balance and bring bad luck to ourselves or even people close to us. As a child, I was constantly reminded that everything I did had consequences. If I didn't respect my parents, I would suffer the same fate of being disrespected or even abandoned by my own children when I got old. Even if I didn't eat certain types of food, it would bring me bad luck. Misfortunes like having to marry a man with bad skin. I used to think how strange it was that a person's choice of food could have such a devastating impact on marriage. There's so many superstitions Chinese children grow up listening to and often believing in. Things like not leaving your slippers pointing towards your bed because that's seen as an invitation for spirits to join you in bed. When I was a little girl, my relatives used to keep telling me that the way I held my chopsticks was a sign that I would eventually leave home and marry someone far away. So how did they predict that? The Chinese believe if a girl holds her chopsticks at the top, it means her future husband lives far away. But if she holds them close to the bottom, she's likely to marry someone close to home. But this applies only to women. Chinese kids of my generation, I think, were quite tough, brave, and resilient because most of us had to live with the folklore, superstitions, and invisible forces, both good and evil, while growing up. Today's kids seem to be a lot more sensitive. But is that good or bad? Does being sensitive mean they are fragile? Children should be properly nurtured and protected while growing up, but the level of protection shouldn't be so extreme that it ends up making them lose their ability to overcome difficulties. About a decade ago, people in Hong Kong used to joke that if you ask a local child what color is an apple, they would say it's white. That's because the apples they ate were always peeled by the domestic helpers before they saw them. These kids were called Kong kids, a derogatory phrase that referred to a subset of children and teenagers who had low emotional intelligence and poor self-management skills. I'm not sure if the Kong kids phenomenon is as prevalent today as it was in the past, but I think many of our youngsters are still very much wrapped up by invisible cocoons. So maybe it's time to free them so they can get a taste of the real world. This doesn't have to be done in a harsh way, but it won't do our kids any good if we keep them sheltered from harsh realities ranging from politics to the pandemic.